It's like, I'm just wondering that now you're talking about 20 kilogram barbel. I wonder if you can catch these big macons with the fly.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
I'm 100% sure you can.
Give me a chance. Have you seen them catching the big whales? So you've got to get
And
close.
it smells like nothing.
Smells like nothing, looks like nothing. So you've got to understand where the fish are and go a little bit smaller, maybe not such bright colors. So with the bass fishermen, they'll make quite a few changes when the barometric pressure drops, because those fish are probably not going to be sitting in the shallows like they were. They're going to be staging in the deeper water.
Welcome to another episode of the original podcast with me, your host, Saki van der Kerk. Okay, welcome back to another episode of the original podcast. We've got an interesting episode planned for you. This is something that has been a while in the making. I've been talking about the guest that we've got on tonight for quite a while, and my dad and I have been trying to get hold of him, and it wasn't as easy as we initially thought. It's been many, many moons ago since we had some in-person contact with each other. But finally we got it sorted out and quickly made a plan. But before we say hello to him, Dad, welcome back.
Hi, Saki. Cheers. Thanks a lot for another week. And this is really one of the episodes that I'm also looking forward to. And I think that Grikie might just get a new job from now on for every now and then, the Sunday after the club comp or something like that. So hopefully we'll sort it.
Yeah, and so before we go any further, so the guest for tonight is Terry Babich. For those of you that has any knowledge about the art lure scene or anything like that, it's definitely one of South Africa's top fly anglers, if not the best. It's somebody that I've known my entire life as fly fisherman extraordinaire. So Terry, welcome to the original podcast. It's a real honor to have you on here.
Yeah, it is an honor to be here. Thanks very much for the invite. I'm looking forward to it.
So I just for the guests back home, I don't want you to run away just because you hear fly fishing. We are going to talk about fly fishing, but we've spoken about this. We're going to talk a lot about the characteristics of the fish. We all fish the same venues. We just spoke about that before we recorded, where we all fish together. All the different facets and stuff like that all utilize the same venues. Everybody's got the same type of fish, the same mentality. And at the end of the day, fish react the same way at the same time of the year. And I think in the fly fishing or in the art lure, they pay a lot more attention to small details in the behavior of fish. Whereas with papgooi, we tend to disregard the behavior of the fish and just try to get them with a different mooti or different flavor or something like that. So we're definitely going to do a little bit of a deep dive into the behavior behind fish and not just the fishing aspect of it. Sorry, Dad, I interrupted you there.
No, it's 100%. You must know that I'm supposed to talk less. I can just add a little bit to the Terry story or to the Babich story, that I really think their family must be one of the
OGs.
Yeah, that must be some of my first memories of fishing. I can remember his dad. Trevor Babich was definitely part of the old Southern Transvaal. He used to fish trials with my dad, where they were standing in the water this deep with their rubber dinghies and everything. So that was where I know them from. And then his brother was fishing I've always been telling you guys that 1973 was my first junior essays. And his brother was actually fishing with us, not in the team, but he was also at the essays. He was with, if I remember correctly, I think it was Western Transvaal at that stage. I will go and have a look on the actual sheet, the program that we had. His name is on there. And so we know each other for many years. And Terry, as such, from the time that they had the fishing shop in Boksburg, Fishing Owl, we met each other there again after all the years. And since then, I think I'm looking forward to this, because I know we're gonna learn a lot of stuff. Sorry, let me just.
Please put your phone on silent.
What I want to say to everybody is, Terry is a fly fisherman per excellence, but it's not, he can catch trout, he can catch anything, but his speciality is our normal freshwater fish. Catfish, grass carp, yellows, muddies, you name it, he catch it. Okay, so don't run away. He's going to teach us a hell of a lot about our normal fish,
Okay,
catching it with a fly.
We're talking too much. We need to get Terry to talk a little bit, because before we get a lot of comments again.
A lot of those fish is what the fly fishermen call trash fish. So the competitive guys target mostly trout and to a degree yellowfish. So anybody like myself who's catching carp and barbel and grass carp, that's like unusual. It is growing. More and more people are targeting them. And fly fishing's light tackle, so it's great fun targeting those species and having the opportunity to try and work out things that nobody else previously knew. You know, so when I started fishing for barbel, like people told me, no, you can't do that and you have to do this. Well, I've turned it upside down, and it's exciting. So we're definitely going to have to get you out, Barry, someday and go and try that,
Well, I think I definitely want to show some photos here. I'll upload show you guys a bunch of the photos of the barbel that Terry catches, and his wife as well. So it's just like an absolute mayhem of fish. I know there's a couple of records and stuff like that going, but we'll talk about that now. Just give me 1 second before we continue with the podcast. There's just two administrative things that I just quickly want to mention. So the first one, last week's episode didn't come out. I am still okay. Everybody, like, I got 2 emails where they were like, you told us the episode will come out on Thursday and it didn't come out. Are you still okay? We are still okay. Last week, in the beginning of the week, I was absolutely man down. I couldn't record. I was just not in any state ready to do that. And then when we eventually got it running and said, okay, I'm up now, we're going to start recording, we had internet problems. That it was the internet. So we
can say
had,
that we had
we had Ari on, and we started the recording. And as soon as you started the recording, minute and a half in, everything will just bump out. And so it's a bit of a hit and a miss. But now he's at the veteran or the Meesters Essays, Masters Essays. So we'll give him a skip for now. We'll go back to him
when he's back.
One of these days. I think that's also going to be an interesting episode.
No, because after that he's going straight to Namibia for the international tournament.
But we'll get him on here. And then the second point of the administrative point that I just want to touch on, we've been talking about sending some gifts to the members that's been with us for more than a year. So I can see there's a bit of a confusion there. So we have the 2 groups. We've got subscribers and we've got the members. The subscribers, that's the free one on YouTube where you just click subscribe. That's just a subscriber. I'm not talking about people that's been subscribed for a year. I'm talking about people that are members, which actually pays for membership. That's at 50 Rand a month or 100 Rand a month membership, where they get the extra videos and stuff like that. That's the membership. They support us financially every month, which makes these podcasts a little bit more worthwhile for us to do. So to say thank you to the members that's been supporting us for more than a year, for them, I'm going to send it. So I've been bombarded with a lot of emails of saying, yeah, we've definitely been more than a year, There's definitely a bunch of people that's been subscribers for more than a year, because we are running now almost 2 years into the podcast. So obviously, if you were one of the first subscribers, you are going to run up there now. But we can't give away stuff for all the subscribers. That's why we specifically said it's only for the members. We do appreciate the subscribers. It helps us a lot, but at the end of the day, the members actually support us financially, and that's why it makes it possible for me to actually give something back. That, and then there's one point of administrative that you just quickly want to touch on.
I wonder, is it what I got with me, or what?
Yes.
Oh, you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, you can talk now.
Okay.
We'll talk to him, Terry, now. He's sitting there waiting patiently.
He needs some of this in order to get those big grassies and the carp and everything they're close to him. I just want to show everybody, there's our new packaging for the feed, the new feed. We're not using the old popcorn anymore. It's a new popcorn, new everything. So have a look for this in the shop. You'll see you get the normal one and the coarse one, or the fine and the normal. I can't read lekker there. But in any case, you get that. It's marked here right on top of the bag, and you get it in 5 colors, flavors, whatever you want to call it. 2 flavors and 3 colors. But yeah, it's available at your local store.
And just
As
check
from
there
now.
in the corner the QR code. I'd show them the QR code. So with the new feed, it's the same as with the old one. We mix it a little bit differently than what the normal guys mix their yellow packets and their green packets and everything. We mix it a little bit different. So you can scan that QR code and we'll take you through to the website, and you can just have a look there on the video of how we mix it, just so it makes it easier for you.
And
you
I
can see
don't
that's the
think you
course
can
of the
really
fine.
see.
Yeah, you can. The quality is just not as good on your side. Take it a little bit further away, Dad. Move it further away. Yeah, more. Yes, that's it.
Okay, there you can see the difference, and I can see you.
All right, yeah, so that's just the new labels and the new bags and stuff like that. So go have a look. It will be in the shops. I think most of the shops will have it
As
now.
from now. Well, as I order, that's all they can get now.
So you'll see that in the shops. But okay, I think that's all for the administrative things. Terry, let's get to you. What I always do with a guest before, if it's a new guest that we haven't had on the podcast before, is I ask them for a little bit of a background, a summary of the fishing background, where it started and where it is currently. So I know that yours can be quite extensive. So if you can summarize it for us,
Yeah.
so the listeners at home just can get an idea of who Terry Babich is.
Well, I'll keep it short. It started with bait fishing and then light tackle boat, and then I moved on to fly fishing. So I did some competitive fly fishing, and we represented South Africa. I've got 5 caps or so representing South Africa. So that's mostly along the trout lines and smallmouth yellowfish lines. But then I've been guiding now for about 10, 11 years and making flies for people. But I've been concentrating on the alternative species, so barbel and carp and largemouth and grassies. So they're nice and short. I catch anything that resembles a fish, and lots of them.
Just quickly, so for the listeners back home, what we're going to do is Uncle Terry does do guides for fly fishing. So I'm going to put all his links down in the description down below, and I'll put his email address here on the screen. So if you have any questions regarding that, you can just pop him an email and he will come back to you. He also ties all the flies. He says that's one of the stuff that he enjoys doing. So that's his living. So if you ever in the mood to do fly fishing, I know if I go, there's no way I'm gonna tie things. So get the proper ones made. Send him an email, tell him where you're going, and he will definitely help you with all of those things. So his description will be down below. Okay. Terry, I also saw lately that you guys have been targeting quite big barbel, if I can say that. I saw that you've got a couple of records or something that you are hunting or getting.
Yeah. So every now and then you got to sort of create little goals for yourself. And this year's goal is for myself. I've been targeting the IGFA, so the International Game Fishing Association, their line class records. So for barbel, they have 5 different line class records from 2 pound to 20 pound. Okay. And so that's what I've been chasing, and my wife's been chasing them with me. So at this stage, I've sent off for all 7 within this calendar year. I'm waiting for 2 to be ratified, and then I'll have all 7 if they go through. And yeah, we've been getting barbel. It doesn't sound like much, but we've been getting barbel on light tackle over and in excess of 20 kilos. The hardest ones are the 2 pound ones, believe it or not, because the barbel just really shakes his head and they come off. And we've been fishing as light as 2-weight rods, which is like fishing a fairy wand for barbel. And yeah, it's been great fun. My wife's had some good ones. She got one over 20 kilos the other day, which is probably the biggest.
What line class?
Hers was 12-pound line class. So 12 pound, and you're looking at what, a 46, 48 pound fish. So not bad at all. It doesn't sound like much, but it's actually harder on the fly rod, pound for pound. because you've got all that drag of that fly line in the water when the fish pulls off. So they can break the line a little bit more easy. 20 kilo fish is really, really a good fish. Probably the biggest fly caught fish by a woman or a lady in this country. Which is pretty special.
Tell me, Terry, now that she got that, is she guiding you or you still guiding her?
Yeah, this is a true story, this, eh? So we were fishing the Orange River a few years back, and she caught a clip barbel on fly. And that's a species I don't have. So she's offered her guiding services to me.
So she's one species up.
She's one species up, absolutely. Yeah, I still don't have it. Sorry?
Till today, you haven't caught the clip barbel?
Not on fly, no. The fact I've caught 2 by hand doesn't count. But
You must go and try. You must take it to groot and go and hunt them there. Groot, definitely you can get a couple there.
I'll have to do that. I'm going to have to do it to save face, eh?
That, or you must go down more into the dam to Jan van Driel.
Yeah, yes.
Jan van Driel has got that rocky areas, and
Yes.
frequently on Popgooi, there's every now and then the clip barbel come out there.
Yeah, there's still
So
quite a
if you
few
want
of them
to
in
go
the
and hunt
Orange
for
River.
them.
Sorry, there's still quite a few of them in the Orange River. But yeah, the Vaal's definitely depleted. Eh? We don't have nearly as many as we used to back in the day.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just wondering, Dad, now him talking about 20 kilogram barbel, I wonder if you can catch these big macons with the fly.
Well,
yeah.
I'm 100% sure you can.
Give me a chance. Have you seen them catching the big whales? So they're catching huge whales catfish on fly. They're using 14-weight rods to catch them. Yeah, can absolutely do it.
Because with these macons, like, Dad, if you think about it, every time that bomb touches the water, that's where it takes it. It takes it in the air. It takes it on the surface, not at the bottom.
Yeah.
We know that for a fact. So if you're gonna stand at a place and you can put it there on a spot, and we know that if you can put it on a spot, that's gonna entice them to feed. So if you're gonna put the right fly there for them, I'm pretty sure you're gonna knock that.
So I've seen some footage of them fishing in those stock dams in Thailand and places like that, and they catch them like that. And the way I'm targeting barbel is I'm plopping for them. So the more accurately you can put the fly repeatedly on the same spot, the greater the chance of you catching a barbel. So they're all going to work on the same premise. They got a lateral line, so they pick up vibration, and they have whiskers, and those whiskers are designed to obviously pick up vibration as well.
And die macons het ook whiskers, nee, Dad?
That's it. Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
No. Uncle Terry, the guys here that's doing fly fishing in Vietnam mostly target barramundi.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of barramundi that they do fish here, and GTs. They've got that. This is now a new thing that I've realized that they catch. I've told you before, but it's now apparently the season where they go into the mangroves, in between the mangroves. Those small GTs, like this size GTs.
Yeah.
Catching them 20 kilometers away from the coast.
Yeah.
In those mangrove forests, they catch them. So
that's the breeding areas for those type of fish. So they breed there, and the small ones grow up in that area. But they've been catching big GTs on fly now for a long time. My brother guides for a company as well called Fly Castaways, and they get them in excess of 1.5 meters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Craig Thomason was catching them always. I know I've spoken to him a couple of times.
Yes, on the art lure.
That's also somebody that we must get for the podcast, huh?
Absolutely.
That's also a good one.
Absolutely. He's been all over.
Yeah. Talk about the world. He's got it.
Okay, but let's bring it back home a little bit more to the whole fishing thing. We spoke earlier about Uncle Terry's got knowledge about the venues that we fish at. Like if I would take Moormans and all those type of things, it's like he's got extensive knowledge on all of those venues. He fished there many, many, many times. Terry, there's one question I'm going to jump off with the question that I told you that I'm going to ask you. That's a question that I've been getting quite a lot about from the listeners and stuff like that, about air pressure and how the barometric pressure and stuff like that affects the fish. And we've had this conversation with quite a few people, but I don't think we've ever had an opinion, because at the end of the day, I think we're going to keep it to this is just an opinion. of somebody that I think I can actually say like there's probably some weight behind it. So how can you explain to us how does that play an effect on a fish, or does it play an effect, and how does it play an effect?
There's lots of different theories about it, how it affects, but it absolutely does affect them. Okay, and barbel, strangely enough, is one of those fish that's affected by it even more than other fish. So largemouth yellow is maybe the last one to go off the bite and the first to come back on. But barbel, bass, and trout, the barometric pressure drops, they go off the bite. There's a lot of different theories about that, but one of them is that the barometric pressure is a pressure exerted down onto the water. And a fish has a swim bladder. And a swim bladder has a pressure in it, and the water has a pressure in it. And when there's a pressure exerted on the water itself, that changes the balance between the water, the swim bladder, and the air pressure. And it makes a fish uncomfortable. And then they go off the bite. So that's just trying to put it simply. Okay, so it creates an uncomfortable circumstance for the fish. And often when the barometric pressure drops, you'll see that the temperature drops. So now, for argument's sake, with barbel, you can go out and fish 34 degrees today, and tomorrow's 29 degrees, and you think it's hot enough for barbel. But that 5-degree temperature change indicates that there's a barometric pressure drop, and the barbel will go off the bite. And what also indicates a pressure drop is an east wind. So you'll find that the east wind and a barometric pressure drop often come together, or a cold front comes in, and that all changes the barometric pressure. And you'll see the barbel. So with fly fishing, we're fishing for barbel and carp and things in very shallow water, often 3 foot of water. Now, when that barometric pressure changes, you won't find them in that shallow water. They go and sulk in the deep water. So we know that the deep water, like when you're fishing in winter, light tackle boat, you go and fish deeper water. So the deeper water is less affected by change and is more consistent. So when the barometric pressure changes, the fish retreat back to the deeper water.
That actually, if you think about that, that's probably why they would stay in the winter in that deep water. To acclimatize, it's just a more constant feeling.
It's more constant with less big changes. So fish don't like big changes in pressure, in temperature, in anything. They don't like big changes. So they go and sit in that water that's more calm and a little bit more even. Also, with the deeper water, the fish just have to move up and down to stay within the thermoclines. So for bait fishing in winter, you sometimes got to pull that fish down to the bottom because he's sitting in the middle somewhere in the thermocline. You know, one of the biggest things you're going to find with fly fishing is you have to find those fish now. Bait fishing, you call the fish to you. You feed them, you hoy nice smelling stuff in there, Mr. Muti stuff, and they come. All right? In fly fishing, you can't do that. You're going to feed them something artificial that they don't like. They don't know what it is, and they've never seen it before. So you've got to get close.
It smells like nothing.
Smells like nothing, looks like nothing. So you've got to understand where the fish are, and you've got to go looking for them. You know, what I always used to say, so I fished competitively bait angling, and we used to cast as far as we could to catch fish, and we caught lots of fish. Then I fished light tackle boat. We caught more fish, but we're suddenly now fishing towards the bank, or we're fishing a lot more shallow. Now, fly fishing, I catch even more fish, and we're walking in the water and catching the fish around our feet, or within a limit, because your fly lines, most of your fly lines, a very long fly line is 40 meters long. So you can only fish within that parameter, provided you can cast that far. A lot of the time we're fishing, barbel fishing on fly, 20 meters max. It's a complete different concept to what you guys are used to.
Yeah. Tell me.
I can see you guys thinking it over.
That's what I said. Now, there's so many things that I've got to ask, or want to ask, and got to find out. You say a drop in the barometer.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What is normal? What is... I don't know how it works. I don't understand the barometer.
So if you go onto your weather forecast nowadays, the easiest way is to go and have a look at the weather forecast for your area. So the barometric pressure will change between winter and summer because the air is different densities. Colder the air, the more densities. Okay, so that's your barometric pressure, is the density of the air. That also changes from venue to venue because of altitude. So if you want to study the barometric pressure for a specific area, you must go and have a look at the trends in that area at that altitude. And you can easily see it on a weather report as it changes. So normally during the day it will change, and then it will, as it gets cooler, it will change again. But it's a gradual change. When it drops, you'll have a sudden drop. It's also easy now to watch.
What type of readings you talking about?
Like I said, it depends on where you are. So,
but how do they give it? How do you?
Okay, so I just quickly checked. I checked now. So in Ho Chi Minh City, where I live now, they give it as 1,014.95 mbar. So metric bar.
I don't know what the actual measurement is now.
That's what our. And
so
if that now drops, what does it drop to?
Well,
so,
yours.
like
Sorry. For me in Ho Chi Minh City, it's 1009.7, and in Johannesburg, it's 1014.
Yeah.
So there's quite a big difference between here and there.
So 1014 is now at nighttime when the air's cooled down. So if you look at it tomorrow, it'll probably go up to 102628 or maybe even 1030. There is a bit of a front around at the moment. So that will show on that barometric pressure. The number itself, you don't really need to have to worry about it. But you need to worry about it when it starts dropping by about 8 digits. So from 1020 to 1012. Whoops. Yeah, there you go. So when you start losing more than 10, when you start losing more than 10 numbers, then it's a sudden drop. And fish don't like that. You also find that your barometric pressure also normally changes. One of your questions would have been with the moon. So quite often on the first night of a full moon or the second night of a full moon, things are fairly stable. Or what you had the day before is still in tune. And then the third or fourth night, you'll see suddenly the wind picks up. That's another indication of barometric pressure drop. So the wind suddenly picks up and starts blowing a lot more than it normally does. Then you know that the air pressure has changed. You don't really need to know the exact numbers. You just need to know that it's changed. When you're fishing in a summer day and you see those thin, streaky clouds high up in the sky, then you know the barometric pressure's changed. You see those thin, streaky clouds, the barbel won't bite. You'll catch them on bait because they're sitting on the bottom in the deeper water, but you won't find them in the shallow water. So it's a change in that. And like I said, from different areas. So in winter, you're looking at maybe 10 to 10, 16, 10, 18. In summer, it's going to go 10, 28, maybe 30. So the number itself is sort of immaterial, but it's just the fact that it changes. But nowadays, you've got watches and things, and it'll just plot it on a graph. And the moment you see that it starts dropping like 6 or 8 points, barometric points, then you know the fish are going to go off the bite. Fish in the river are affected a little bit. Sorry?
I don't think necessarily you can go home. I think what this indicates is that you go deeper.
So depending on the fish species, so if you fly fishing, if there's a massive barometric pressure drop, you're not going to fish for barbel.
You go home.
Because they're not going to be in the shallow.
Then you go.
Yeah. Then you go home. Bass fishing, if you're fishing off a boat, then you're going to go look for the fish in the deeper water. And you might fish your lures a little bit slower and go a little bit smaller, maybe not such bright colors. So with the bass fishermen, they'll make quite a few changes when the barometric pressure drops, because those fish are probably not going to be sitting in the shallows like they were. They're going to be staging in the deeper water. So bass and trout, you can definitely change your approach. Fly fishing, it's difficult because you can't suddenly wade in 3 meters of water. And you're not going to call a barbel up from 3 meters down. The river fishing is a little bit more stable. So it seems like with that water moving, the fish in the river are affected a little bit less than the fish in the dam. So it's definitely worse in dams than it is in rivers.
That's what I'm picking up out of this, is that if that drop happens, then go deeper.
Yeah.
He says that the guys with the bass, usually will change their colors to a more muted color, if I can put it that way.
Yeah.
Maybe reduce the amount of dips that you use, or just change whatever you are doing, the opposite of what you are doing.
So for
Yeah.
bait fishing, you're going to go a little bit deeper, and you're maybe going to use a stronger flavor, because now that fish is a little bit less mobile. So he doesn't want to move around because he's feeling a little bit iffy. He's not that comfortable. So you got to call him. So use a stronger flavor to call that fish in. Definitely. Yeah. So barometric pressure will play a role in bait fishing as well, for sure. I mean, you ever look at, I reckon if you went and compared the fishing on Saturday and Sunday on the Wall Dam, you'll probably find that the average size bag was very different.
I
Because there
haven't
would have been a
spoken to anybody
barometric
that
pressure.
fished the weekend. Tell me, how does your approach, does your way of thinking around this vary now from the barbel to the grass carp?
Yeah. So barbel, absolutely 4 degrees, 5 degrees change in maximum temperature from one day to the next. They're not going to be in the shallows. The grass carp need a bit more of a change to keep them in the deeper water. So that barbel is affected more than the grass carp. So the grass carp might still move in. They might sit like a foot deeper than they normally do on the barometric change or the temperature change, but the barbel are going to become scarce. So I quite often get guys phoning me from light tackle boat. Oh, the wind's blowing. Where's the barbel? We can't find them. Like on Saturday, a lot of the guys on Saturday couldn't find the barbel. So there was an east wind blowing and the barbel just were not moving around a lot. Sometimes when the wind blows excessively, those barbel will go and sit right on the bank in that warm water, just to be a little bit more comfy and cozy, like I did on Saturday. So that bay at Moolmans, if you came into Moolmans from your side.
On the left-hand side.
Yeah, so the bay, that smaller bay, okay?
Yeah.
So if you came into Moolmans and you looked on the left-hand side, you wouldn't have found barbel. But if you'd gone to the right-hand side, where the wind was blowing almost at a 90 degrees to the bank, and I tell people this and they don't believe it, but I've had bait fishermen do well by just approaching it, that when the barometric pressure drops, the barbel is sitting where the wind blows 90 degrees onto the bank. And you might ask why? Well, the water's warmer, and that's where the most amount of food's going to be. So if you went into Moolmans on Saturday and you went to the right-hand side, you would have found hundreds and hundreds of barbel. But on the left-hand side, you would have found nothing. And there were lots of barbel there yesterday, but they were only on the one side of the bay. So with fly fishing, you need to be a little bit more aware of what the fish are doing. So a couple of years back, you obviously, Werner Libber. So I took him to Val Dam. We went to Val Dam in the middle of winter. Now, most bait fishermen, until recently, would have said, no, you can't catch barbel in winter. So we got down to the Val Dam, and I looked, and I could see the barbel were in the deep water. And then we went around the bend to the bay that we were talking about now, and we found the barbel in 2 foot of water in the middle of winter, and we caught them. He couldn't believe it. We caught barbel up to 18 kilos that day on the fly. Barbel behave differently in winter. They move into big schools, and then what they do is they move into the back of those bays, and they feed on all those small fish. Those small fish are stunted by the cold, but they've got to move into the shallows to get warm, otherwise they're going to die. And when they move into the shallows, then the schools of barbel, big schools of barbel, move into the back of those bays in winter, late afternoon, the last hour before the sun goes down. And they just sip those baby fish up. They eat those baby fish like candy. The biggest and fattest barbel I catch are winter barbel, not summer barbel. In summer, the fish, just remember, fish are cold-blooded. So when all those bait fish are shooting around and darting around in summer, the barbel have to use more energy to catch them. So they spread out amongst a bigger area looking for them and chasing them because they're moving faster. Initially, when I started fishing for barbel in winter, I cut some of them open. And those bigger barbel are full of small fish.
Sure. Okay, Terry, now let's get to another topic. Can you maybe show us roughly what type of fly are you using now at this point in time? What is working for you? How are you retrieving it? How are you catching them? Just give the
So for,
people a bit of an idea.
yeah, so for barbel, mostly I use two methods. So firstly, I like to fish in dirty water for barbel, which means the barbel are attracted to noise. If you're fishing clear water and you slap on the water, they scoot out of there. They get scared, something's chasing them, they're gone. So if you target dirty water like Valdam, Bloemhof and stuff, you can plop the flies repeatedly on the same spot. So you cast maybe 15, 20 meters and you want to plop two flies, and I'll show you the flies now, on the same spot 2 or 3 times, and then you let it sink. Then you pick it up and you same spot again, you plop it there 2 or 3 times again, and you call those barbel in. Sometimes the big ones sit on the bottom, and the smaller ones shoot up to the top to grab the flies as they hit the water. So one of the flies will sink a little bit slower than the other. The other one will sink quickly, so that you're targeting both parts of the water column at the same time. So you've got a slow sinking fly and a fast sinking fly. And late afternoon, they will grab anything on the surface. So you must understand barbel fish feed at nighttime, and then there's chochos and things. Give an example. A few years back, I went to Bloemhof and we decided we're going to fly fish for barbel at nighttime. I saw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of little grasshoppers on top of the water. Didn't see them during the day, but the grasshoppers fall on top of the water at nighttime. And the barbel are swimming with their whiskers on the top of the water, looking for those fish, looking for those grasshoppers to eat. And that's something we don't see. So in a lot of places, a lot of our insects hatch at nighttime, all the moths and things like that. And then the barbel swim on the surface and they pick up that vibration and they eat at nighttime. At Bloemhof, they hunt at nighttime. But let's see if I can get this into the picture. So this is a fly I call a BBB. So this is the slow sinking fly. It's got a big bead on it to make a plopping noise, which attracts the barbel, but it's got an increased surface area here that causes the fly to sink slowly. Because you've got a fly rod, and the fly rod doesn't have a lot of striking power. You know, a 9-weight fly rod is like really a soft rod. I use a very thin wire hook so that when you strike with the fly rod, it penetrates the barbel. So you don't have to strike repeatedly and you don't have to strike hard. And you'll see it's a wide gap hook. Okay, so that's called a BBB, a Babich barbel bugger. And that fly works particularly well when the barbel are coming up to the plopping noise or late at night time. And this is it's basically a size 2 stinger hook, thin wire stinger hook. So the bass fishermen will understand what that is. During the day or in winter when the barbel are not coming up. So this fly is the one that sinks. See if you can see it. This one sinks a bit quicker. Try and get it into view.
So that's fine. I think that should be.
So that one sinks a lot quicker. So it's got lead in the body and it's got a tungsten bead on it. It makes a nice plopping noise that brings the barbel in, but it sinks a lot quicker. Now the barbel can't always see this thing in the dirty water, but he hears it and then he touches it with his whisker and he grabs it. And a lot of big barbel are caught on the bottom on this little fly. So to give you an idea how big the fly is, I don't know if you can see it. If you can see it against my nail, it's not very big. It's the size of my nail. Okay, so it's a size 8 scud hook.
But I must tell you one thing. You must just remember, Terry's got hands like this.
No,
Gebruik disc vingers.
Yeah, so you don't need heavy stuff. You know, your fly rod has a test curve of maybe a few kilos. So you don't need heavy tackle because you can't pull open a hook at 4 kilos unless you point the rod. If you point the rod straight at the fish, the weakest point's going to break. So then it's your line. So with a repeated casting, with the plopping, I use a heavy line. I use a 15-pound line. Otherwise, your line's going to break all the time. So that's where your strength comes from. And you'll never open one of those hooks. Never. On 15-pound line.
Now take us through the motion. What do? You're saying you put it down, what then?
So
You
you
cast
just
it, once it hit the spot, what then?
so you hit the spot 2 or 3 times, okay, and you just let it sink straight.
Do you
So
mean you take it, you put it down and immediately
yeah,
take it out and put it down again and
yes,
immediately take it out? So you don't
yes,
retrieve anything. You just put it down,
yeah,
put it down, and then you let it sink.
yeah. That's it. You
Okay?
plop on the same spot. So I always say try and put it into a teacup, and you plop it on the same spot. If you can cast accurately, the fish will come to where the noise is. But if you cast inaccurately and you keep moving it, now you're asking that barbel, he might be 1.3 meters long. You're asking him to turn every time you cast. And he's not going to turn that big body of his around too many times. He might do it once or twice and then he's going to leave the spot. So the same spot over and over. Sometimes what happens is as it hits the water, they swim to that spot and they stop. And then when it hits the water again, they grab it incredibly fast, incredibly fast. If he can't
Yes, like
find it on the top, if he can't
Hey,
find it on
Saki?
the top, then he goes to the bottom to look for it. That's why you got the sinking fly.
when I'm coming back to South Africa, that's what I'm doing.
Ah, it's awesome.
I
And you
I,
can,
I haven't been this list for fish fong in a while, and then my fly rod is right there.
yeah,
I
yes.
should maybe go try and.
But I think that's a little bit too light.
No. I'm just thinking of
Practicing.
catching some of the small barramundi or something like that can be just as much fun.
So here's the crazy thing. So on fly rod, we get the barbel out much quicker than you do on bait. So
Yeah,
a
but
lot
you
of
got
barbel,
fucking rope like this.
okay? Not the fly
You
rod.
got a rope like this.
Yeah, but you don't have the rod. Yeah. So what happens is because he's so close to you, the moment you strike that fish, you pull him sideways. Okay, you throw him off balance. You don't hold your rod up in the air. You pull him sideways, and they'll come towards you. If you let him swim, and he realizes that he can pull you, well, that'll take a lot longer. So what happens when you bait fishing is you guys are casting 80, 100 meters. When you strike that barbel, you haven't got direct contact with him. So he can swim up and down a bit before you start controlling him. And that's why it takes so much longer, because he knows he can swim around. Any fish that you're catching in the river, if you pull from the moment you hook that fish, you'll get him out quicker. If you let him run, he's going to mess you around. The light tackle boat guys can tell you that. What do they do now at Bloemhof when they fish light tackle boat? Nobody casts 40 meters from the boat anymore. We cast right here at the boat. And then what do we do when you hook it? You pull like crazy. Because if you don't, he's going to swim up and down. That's the only way you can land 300, 400 kilos a day at Bloemhof. So you see, even then, so you can learn from bait fishing and apply it to fly fishing as well.
Okay. Let's move on to a grassy.
I'm worried about the silence on the other side.
No, that's usually a good sign. That's usually a sign where both of my dad and I are both thinking. It's the heads are spinning.
The
But
numbers,
like my dad said, let's move on to the grassies. I think that's also a species that it's quite unique in the South African system at this point in time. Big grassies.
now that's a tricky one. So, grassies, obviously they eat grass and they do eat chogos and other fish and invertebrates and things. When they get bigger, they do need a bit of protein. So not unlike a normal carp, all the boilie, again, we can learn from the boilie guys. What do the boilie guys do for big carp? They give him high protein foods because he's got to maintain that body mass. Otherwise, he's going to get skinny and he's never going to be a big fat specimen fish. Grass carp are no different. As they get bigger, they do eat other things. That's why you'll see some of the art lure guys sometimes get them on those big cat poppers and things. So they'll come up and they'll grab something. You can cast a fly in there and pull it back, and they will sometimes grab it. But grass carp move in very big schools. They are extremely sound sensitive. If you make a noise, they're gone. Okay? So if you rip something in there and one gets a fright, that herd mentality, they all take off and they all go. So you've got to keep very quiet when you fish for grass carp. Sometimes a long cast, and literally I'll wade 1 or 2 steps at a time and stop. 1 or 2 steps at a time and stop and try and get closer and closer to those fish to the point where this is the big thing. You can see the bites. So with grass carp, they feed by just grabbing off the bottom like this. They're not hunting and grabbing anything. They're just feeding like this. Then they move to the next spot and they pull the grass out. So as far as bite detection goes on your fly line, that is very, very, very hard to see. So you want to be close to the fish. Now, what I used to do was cast into them and retrieve, but then you spook them, like I said. So now I fish static. I cast into that school, so you look for the tails sticking out. When the waters come up is the best time to go and look for them. And those tails stick up. The deeper the water, the more vertical he sits, so you know where his mouth is. The shallower water, he sits like this, the harder it is to find the mouth, and the more chance of hooking the body. So I prefer to fish in water about waist deep, and you see the tail sticking out at waist deep, and then you cast 3 flies to them, and you wait for him to pick it up. So you got to understand the fish. Hey?
Jy's windgat. Hey, just because you can catch grassies that's waist length. That's 1.2 meters long. That's vinty, man.
What's your biggest grassie, Uncle Terry?
I haven't got really big ones out. I've got a couple of 17s. So,
lekker man. Lekker. That's what I say. Jy's windgat.
So, what would you consider a big one then?
No, look, those things grow to 38 kilos. In this country, I've just seen one now that somebody got of about 25 kilos in the river.
I think I saw the same. I saw a Papgooi guy. I saw a Papgooi guy.
There was a guy at Wagabiki Eco Lodge on the river. He landed one of 25 kilos about a week ago or so. So with a grass carp, what you find is at the beginning of the season, when there's not much grass, you catch these fish and they literally are 1.2, 1.3 meters long. And they will weigh between 8 kilos and maybe 10, 11 kilos. When the grass has come up for a long time, you got to understand that thing's got to digest grass. Okay, it doesn't digest very well. So he's got a long gut that makes that grass spend longer time in their bodies so that he can get some nutrition out of it. So they eat a lot of that grass, and then at the end of the season, they get fatter. So at the beginning of the season, you're going to catch 8, 9, 10 kilos. At the end of the season, you're going to catch 11, 12, 13, 14 kilo fish.
It's crazy.
We catch multiples of them in a day.
Okay, now you say you fish them statically.
Yeah.
What do you put there?
So this is not something everybody knows. Little green things, just like that, with a small hook. Where is it? With a small hook.
Okay.
And that line, sometimes you'll pick it up to recast it and you'll feel resistance, then you strike. Okay, so he picks that thing up thinking it's grass, but he doesn't have to grab it and swim off with it because grass doesn't move. Okay, grass stays where it is. So he throws it back into the back of his mouth. He's got pharyngeal teeth in the back of his mouth, and he chops that grass up into small little pieces, which increases the surface area of the grass, which means for digestion, he can get more nutrition out of it by increasing the surface area. So he chops it up into tiny little pieces about 3-4 millimeters long. And sometimes he'll pick your rod up and that thing's in the back of his mouth. If you hook him in the body, he will jump like mad and he will take all your stream. Okay? That thing can take 200 meters of line in one run if you hook him in the body. So you hook a big 14 kilo in the body, he's taking all your stream. If you hook him in the mouth, they quite often just sit there. Because their mouths are hard from picking up all the grass, he sits there and he's not sure what's happening. You guys will see it with your bait fishing. So quite often you'll hook one and you'll wind him in. So he comes to the bank. Then he sees you. And that's where the fight starts. And those ones will normally be hooked in the hard part of the mouth. If you hook him in the soft part of the mouth, he'll fight a lot harder.
Welsia.
Yeah, nice
He
fish.
says it's 17.2.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just Herman Dix.
Where did Elsie
Yeah.
get that? Where did Elsie get that one?
I think Herman Dixon is 15 kilos. Koppiesdam.
Okay, so I think it was last year. I phoned Elsie and I said, "Hey, there's big grass carp here." He says, "No, there's no grass carp there." He was out there that weekend and he got some big ones. I also got one of 16.8 on the fly rod.
But I think it's like Terry, like the amount of times that before coming to Vietnam, I would be driving with a boat, and especially on days that's extremely calm,
Yeah.
you will see those grassies on the top of the water, and they are just like swimming, but you can literally see them like,
Yes.
let's say 3 or 4 meters water. You will
Yeah.
see them just swimming. And I mean, with the boat makes a hell of a lot of noise, and I've gotten to the point where you are fairly close to them, where I would say, let's say 5 or so meters away from them, and then you can see those are
Big fish.
big grassies. Do you think that that's something that you can target from the boat if you can see them like that?
Yeah, you probably can.
That's-
So in the river, we target them a little bit differently. So we use a fly that floats and then one of those other flies below them. And if they are feeding, so like, you had that lettuce growing at the barrage last year. That lettuce was washing down in small little pieces down the river. And if you put a surface fly anywhere near that grassy, he would move and go and eat it. So the river doesn't fish the same as the dam, but we were catching a lot of them like 10, 12, 13 kilos on a dry fly. They would move a meter and go and eat that dry fly off the surface. And sometimes they swim up to that thing slowly like this, and then they grab it. And you got to wait for him to grab it, and then you strike. And you need strong hooks because their mouths are very hard.
So, Terry, tell me, why is it that you get those big grassies on the snake worms and the flying ants?
Yeah, I would think it's just because it's natural baits. So sometimes what they're doing is those things, there's no grass for them to eat. Let's say Voldam hasn't come up. There's no grass for them to eat. So they start pulling the roots out. And when they're pulling those roots out, they'll obviously come across worms and ants and chochos and stuff like that. And it comes back to that thing I was telling you about. They will eat protein. They do need protein to maintain that body mass. So Voldam, after it's come up and they've eaten all that grass, there's nothing else for them to eat. They've got to find something to eat. And they will eat whatever there is. You catch them on a crab, you can catch them on
What
anything.
scares me, the thing that scares me the most is the guys with the light tackle boat that catches them on the baby chicks.
Yeah,
It's
I can believe it. Yeah.
chickheads.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You'll
Well,
get
that's
those
like-
guys come there with 10 or 15 big barbel and 2 big grassies.
Yeah. Yeah, it just looks like something in the water. And he mouths a lot of things. So he'll mouth a lot of things because grass is inanimate. It doesn't move underneath the water. So if there's something else there, he'll test it with his lips. And sometimes they'll swallow it.
Yes. You'll make me scared of walking into the water.
Those things, when they take off, they can hurt you. But when the water comes up, if you guys go and maybe make a little baby shoes trace and you go and fish worms and flying ants and stuff, sight fish for the grassies. With a tiny, tiny little float, you're gonna catch grassies like you've never caught before. Dip them in fluorescein maybe and go and stalk them on the edges. You're going to catch amazing fish. I don't know why nobody does it. Something to think about. You want a big grassie? Wait till the water comes up and
But
go and
why?
stalk them.
I wouldn't even take a baby shoe. I'll just take a single loop.
The single looks fine, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the only reason I'd go for baby shoes because of the way they feed. 2 baits increases your chance of catching a fish. So if he's not hunting and he's moving slowly on the bottom, same with why I fish 3 flies for them. If you fish one fly, it's going to take him longer to find that one fly than it would if he had 3 flies in the water. You're just playing the percentage game. You're playing the percentage game.
Okay.
So
I really
how many
think-
flies are you guys allowed to fish with?
So in competition, a lot of the world competitions, you're allowed to fish 3 flies. Different countries have different rules. Sometimes you'll only allow 1 fly with a certain size. That's when you're fishing abroad. But generally regarded that you can fish 3 flies.
And those 3 flies are tied in line on one line, eh? Am I
So
right?
they're not.
There's
tied
not a
in
piece of
line.
line from the main line to one and main line to another one.
It's like you would make a trace, each one on their own dropper.
Oh,
So like a paternoster trace, 2 droppers and a sinker.
so it's not like you fish for shark, for instance, where you've got two hooks on the same line.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
also,
happens if you get 2 barbel on the same tray, on the same cast?
You
I've
battle.
actually
Fun and game.
I've never landed 2 barbel at the same time. So for barbel, I will tie my small fly into the bend of the big fly. So what they call that's called New Zealand rig. And because you're casting a lot of times, if you put that big fly on a dropper, it's going to knot. So it's the only time I tie the other fly into the bend of the hook. And also, barbel doesn't really care. If he's going to eat it, he's going to eat it. You know, he's not going
And
to
if there's
look
two,
at
you'll
it.
eat
and-
2.
Yeah, there's been times I've caught 1 barbel with both flies in its mouth.
Yeah.
So he comes up and he eats the one below, and then he eats the one higher up. That can happen quite often. Trout do that as well. Sometimes with trout, you'll get a trout with all 3 flies in his mouth. Then you know your bite detection's a bit slow and you were sleeping.
I was sitting here. I was like, I did that, but that is a very fast fish. It takes you a while to see
Derek,
that.
you've missed it. Terry, tell me, and something that I used to love in my younger years with a fly was the muddies and mochels.
Yeah.
Do
Where
you
did
do
you
that
catch the
still?
mochel?
Hey, they're below
Where did you-
barrage.
Okay. All right.
Irina
So-
Spa.
Yeah. Okay, so Arena Spa is one of those few places where you get mochel on the fly. And there's 2 conditions where it happens. One is when the other fish are spawning, the mochel sit behind them and they eat the spawn. So if something comes past with a little orange bead or something, the mochel will eat it. The other time that you catch mochel is when a river comes down, any of the little feeder streams, the mochel move up in mass so that they can spawn. And they might spawn the first day or 2 or maybe 3, and then suddenly they got to feed to replace all that energy that they've used. And then they start grabbing at anything. So you put a fly past there and they'll grab it. It is a very difficult fish to catch, a mochel on fly. So there's only a few conditions where you will catch them. Or if you go and fish like Barbaspan Dam. Barbaspan, they swim in big schools. And if your fly just sinks at the right rate, if it sinks too quick, he won't eat it. If it sinks just the right speed, then he'll grab it as if it's food. So you can catch mochel, but it's regarded as a bycatch. So normally it's a bit of luck. Okay, so there's nobody really targeting them. I will.
Same as with
when I see
popcorn. Popcorn is the same.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah, I'll target them when I see the conditions are right, and then I'll target them. But there's nobody else really targeting them. Now, mudfish, on the other hand. So a lot of fly fishermen are of the belief that a muddy feeds on the bottom, he doesn't eat the fly. He takes it by mistake. There's a lot of fly fishermen that really believe that. Personally, I love to catch muddies on fly. So if you can drift your fly just slow enough, so slower than you would if you were fishing for yellowfish, and slower than what the water column is moving, then the muddy, because he's got a mouth underneath his head, then he has time to pick up that fly. And quite often they're just focusing on the bead. So if you're fishing a chartreuse bead or a white bead or a red bead, you've got a good chance of catching more muddies. Orange as well. But muddy can be very color orientated. They do like color. But you've got to drift your flies right on the bottom, very, very slowly, and then you'll catch them in the mouth. If you rip your flies
Especially
out of the
those
water,
slower rapids,
yeah,
shallow
yeah,
rapids, that where it's that little bit slower.
yes,
That's normally where I used to
absolutely,
catch a
yeah.
lot.
They're in those little holes in the rapids. So even in the fast rapids, if there's a little hole where the water moves slowly, they sit in those holes. But they move in there like 10, 20 at a time. So if you catch
Yeah.
one, you can catch multiple of them. They move around
Now,
in
what I
schools.
found is normally if I could find a specific place where there's a lack of rock and you see there's a bit of a hole behind it, you let it drift just on the other side of the rock so that your line pulls it into that hole behind the rock.
Yeah,
And as it goes in, there
yeah.
it goes. You
So
just
that
see that
hole
line
behind,
stops.
yeah, that's it, exactly that. So when you drift it in behind the rock, you'll have a piece of water that has a negative flow,
Yeah.
like a little washing machine effect. And then your fly sinks and it just stays there a little bit longer. And like you say, as it stops, then you lift and you're on. The other interesting thing
You
is
still feel it.
and they fight
I
well.
loved it. Yeah.
Oh, muddies. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So the other thing, as a
Especially in
bait
the stream.
fisherman, yeah, as a bait fisherman, if you catch a muddy of like 2 kilos, it's a good muddy. Fly fishing, we catch them much bigger than that. My wife has the biggest one that I've seen, but I have one.
Sounds so. I love it.
Sounds very
I love it.
familiar.
I thought it's only me that to say shit.
That's not only you. So yeah,
You
my
say your
wife
wife
has
has got
one
one?
over 4 kilos, eh?
Yes.
Muddy. Yeah, I've got a 4 kilo, and we quite often catch them 3 kilos and over on fly. Normally, when they're spawning, round about spawning time, you get the really big ones, but we catch really big fish. Even your yellows. So I don't know what you guys regard as a good smallmouth, but if you're fishing a bit, you should at least get one of 4.5 kilos on fly in a season. Maybe a couple if you know where to fish. Whereas on bait, you'll hardly see one that size.
Yeah, no. 2
Carp
kilos.
as well. So you love to fish mulmans. There's a certain time of the year and under certain conditions, and you've seen them there, I know you have, where you'll catch carp on fly between 5 and 7 kilos on the top, on the surface. And not many people will think that you catch carp that size in Walden. But there at Mulmans, they're there.
Yeah.
Then I'm just seeing now, Rolfie, you were talking about muddies, and I remembered I saw this earlier. On Saturday, Rolfie fished a Promania at Flamingo Bay. Won his zone with 92 muddies. Or 92 fish, but predominantly muddies. 35 kilos.
Yeah.
I was going to
35
go there
kilos.
this weekend, but I was going to go to Flamingo this coming weekend, but it's not going to work. I've unfortunately got some work yet.
But okay, I think the time is slowly catching us. I think we can maybe discuss one more point. Terry, I see you on your way saying something.
No, I was just saying, so with muddies, I have caught over 100 muddies in a day on fly. And bobble, and carp, and bass, and trout.
I had it years ago. I was still in my art lure days, where we fished the Southern's Artificial Lure League at Irina Spa. And everybody was still busy getting their inflatable boats ready and everything. And I had a stringer full of fish. And they then said that I'm talking nonsense. I had it on the stringer through the night and I caught it the previous day. So I emptied my stringer, and within I think it was about 25, 30 minutes, I had my stringer full with a muddy and a mochel and a largemouth, and not a largemouth, a smallmouth and a barbel.
Yeah.
The 4 species that I had on the stringer, I said to them, "You're wasting my time." That I stopped artificial lure fishing. Said, if you can't take hiding, if they take me anywhere else where they know, then they so great. And it's long stories.
Arena Spa is the day where I got my first 100 muddies, same venue. There's a
Yes,
tremendous amount of muddies there. And you can catch multiple species there. So mochel, smallmouth, largemouth, bass, carp,
yes.
barbel, muddies. All at Arena.
You go down the embankment there, and they're right just below the low water bridge. You walk through that first channel,
Yes.
through the second one, and you stand on that island, and you just flick that lure up right next to that low water bridge and let it drift past you. Oh my goodness!
Perfect.
Those years
venue.
you got these very cheap lures that the shops would buy it on a big cardboard chart like that with the different colors. Now Mia's imported stuff that was called a Fishmate 406 and a 407. It looked like a barrel swivel, a barrel sinker. You got them in yellow, orange, red, and black, and that color. And then the black one has got white dots, and all the others has got black dots on. Yeah. And instead of a propeller, instead of a blade, it's got a small, tiny propeller in the front, and it's got some hair laying on top of it like that. I still got some of them here at home. And you take that, and the 406 was the smaller one, and the 407 the bigger one. You take that 406 and flick it, and you nail those smallmouth yellows, shot for shot. And then you switch over to the 407, which is a bigger one, but it drops down that little bit deeper, and you're into those muddies.
Yes.
But it was great. Great days.
Yeah, fantastic fun, eh?
Okay, I think we need to. I think time has caught us up a bit. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the listeners at home if there's any questions that you guys have, because we've spoken about a lot of things tonight, and at some point during the podcast, my mind was spinning. I was thinking about a whole bunch of things, and it made a lot of sense. And I was trying to think about days where I fished and certain things happened, and it just made sense for me. So if something like that happens to you, where there's something that you want to ask, any questions you want to ask, remember down below in the comments down below, you can just drop your question there. I can always send that to Terry. Otherwise, most people have my email address, so you can just go onto the website www.originalpodcast.co.za. All of the information, all the contact details are there. Once again, I'm going to put Terry's details down below if you are planning on doing a guide or something like that. If you just want some information, feel free to let him know. If you want to buy your flies or something like that, if you want some advice what flies to use, I think he will be more than willing to help you in that regard.
Sorry. So if guys contact me, I'm willing to answer questions and help them. It's all about teaching everybody about fly fishing and making it more accessible to other people.
Dad, and now you want to say?
I was just going to say, luckily he knows the area around AHV, Moelman, Leeuplaas, RPA. That's my territory, so I will definitely get him onto the water.
Definitely. I think Grieke on a Sunday will not go home early anymore.
No, I think so.
Well, that's the perfect time to fish for barbel. Is straight after your competition. That last hour and a half of the evening when the barbel are really biting well, that's the best time to fish for them.
Oh, you'll sort of go on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So Saturday evening braai is cancelled.
I would tell the whole club, listen, now we're going fly fishing.
Yeah.
Klink na 'n plan. But Uncle Terry, thank you for joining us tonight. I think it was a real privilege for me and for my dad to talk to you about all of these questions. There's a bunch of questions that we've been thinking about asking, but we couldn't find somebody that we could actually ask and whose opinion I think would be something that I can say there's probably a little bit of weight behind it. So thank you for you. I really appreciate it.
Thanks very much for inviting me. Enjoyed it.
Ja, dan wil ek Paak maar net dankie sê. Dit was lekker geweest om met Paak 'n bietjie te chat. Ons het nou verlede week geskiep. So dit is my lekker om weer 'n bietjie versong te chat.
Ja nee, moes lekker.
Did we didn't even talk about the boat weekend.
No, it's must because I've beaten your mom now. All of a sudden, we don't even talk about it.
I think I'll give you 2 minutes. I'll give you 2 minutes. Give us a quick rundown. What happened?
I've beaten mom by 700 gram. We both had 23 fish. She had 41.265, and I had 23 fish, 42.07.
And Paul was not that. And
I
Paul was
was
there every
third
day.
overall. I was third overall, and she was fourth overall, and she won the ladies. So it was a
The
good
boat was
day.
second. And the boat Grieke was second.
Grieke was second, yeah. Sean Edwards was one of the barbel hunters. He came in with 150 kilos, 33 barbel, 150 kilos. So he won the day, and his boat won the day. Jannie van Heerden was second with the seniors, and I was third. So it was a good day. We had lucky day.
Close. And it was close. It was close.
Yeah.
It was not nobody won by. Oh well.
The
Barbel
top guys, the barbel guy was gone,
miles ahead.
but then the next 5 boats were very, very close to each other.
Within a fish or two
Yeah.
of each other. Okay. I'll go for the listeners back home. Just want to say thank you if you listened till now. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Wednesday, 12 o'clock. Yeah. See you then. Cheers.